Hello, beautiful soul. I want you to take a deep breath with me right now. Just breathe in slowly, and as you breathe out, let your shoulders drop and allow yourself to settle into this moment. You've found your way here today, and I believe that's no accident. There's something stirring within you, isn't there? A feeling that perhaps you've been working too hard, searching too desperately, trying to force doors open that seem determined to stay closed. I see you, dear one. I see the weariness in your spirit from all the searching, all the trying, all the pushing against life when it feels like life is pushing back. You've been running from one solution to another, haven't you? One book to another, one teacher to another, one method to another, hoping that this time, you'll find the magic key that unlocks everything you've been longing for. And here's what I want you to know right from the very beginning of our time together. There's nothing wrong with you for feeling this way. There's nothing broken about you because you're tired. There's nothing weak about you because you're ready to stop the endless chase. In fact, this feeling you're having right now, this exhaustion from searching, this desire to find another way, this is actually your wisdom speaking to you. Your soul is trying to tell you something important. It's whispering that maybe, just maybe, you've been looking in all the wrong places. Not wrong because they're bad places, but wrong because the very thing you're searching for has been right here with you all along. It's been waiting patiently for you to stop running long enough to notice it. I understand how you got here. Life has a way of teaching us that if we want something, we must go out and get it. We must search, we must strive, we must make it happen. And there's truth in taking action. Absolutely there is. But somewhere along the way, many of us learned that we have to do it all ourselves. We learned that if we don't push and search and force and try, nothing good will come to us. This belief has left so many of us exhausted, hasn't it? It's left us feeling like we're swimming upstream all the time, like we're fighting a current that never seems to ease. And when things don't work out despite all our efforts, we think we need to search harder, try more methods, read more books, find more teachers. We think we're not doing enough, not searching in the right places, not working hard enough. But what if I told you that this very moment, this feeling of being tired from all the searching, is actually a sacred invitation? It's an invitation to discover a completely different way of living, a way that our ancestors knew, but that we've somehow forgotten in our modern world of doing and achieving and making things happen. Today, we're going to explore what it means to stop the frantic searching and allow the divine to do the providing. And when I say divine, I mean whatever feels true for you: God, universe, higher power, source, life force. The name doesn't matter. What matters is that you begin to understand that there's a loving intelligence much greater than your individual mind that wants to provide for you, support you, and guide you. This isn't about becoming passive or lazy. This isn't about sitting back and waiting for things to magically appear. This is about learning to work with the flow of life instead of against it. It's about discovering that when you align yourself with this loving intelligence, when you learn to trust and receive, life becomes so much easier and more joyful than you ever thought possible. So let's begin this journey together, shall we? Let's explore how to move from exhausting searching to graceful receiving, from desperate seeking to peaceful trusting. Your heart brought you here today because it's ready for this shift, and I'm here to walk with you every step of the way. Now, let's talk about this searching that has brought you to where you are today. When I look at people who are constantly searching, constantly seeking the next thing that will fix their lives or make them happy, I see something very familiar. I see the same pattern I lived for many years of my own life, and I see the same pattern that almost everyone goes through at some point. This searching usually begins with good intentions. something isn't working in our lives. Maybe it's our relationships, maybe it's our health, maybe it's our finances, maybe it's just a general feeling that something is missing. And so we naturally think, I need to find the answer. I need to search for the solution. At first, this searching can feel exciting. We buy books, we attend workshops, we follow teachers online, we try new methods and techniques. Each new thing we discover gives us hope. This could be it. This could be the answer I've been looking for. And sometimes we do get results, which encourages us to keep searching for even more answers, even bigger solutions. But gradually, something shifts. The searching becomes less exciting and more desperate. Instead of exploring new ideas with curiosity and joy, we start grasping at them with need and urgency. We begin to feel like we're running out of time, like we need to find the answer now, like our happiness and peace depend on finding the right method, the right teacher, the right technique. This is when searching becomes exhausting. This is when it stops being a joyful exploration and starts being a frantic hunt. We move from teacher to teacher, method to method, sometimes abandoning things before we've really given them a chance because we're so desperate to find something that works immediately. We start to feel like we're failing because nothing seems to stick. Nothing seems to create the lasting change we're longing for. What's really happening here is that we've entered into what I call scarcity searching. This is searching that comes from a belief that what we need is outside of us and that it's scarce. We believe that the right answer is out there somewhere, but it's hard to find, and we might miss it if we don't search hard enough. We believe that happiness, peace, love, abundance, all the things we truly want, are commodities that need to be found, earned, or achieved. This kind of searching is driven by fear. Fear that we won't find what we need. Fear that we're not good enough as we are. Fear that life won't provide for us unless we make it happen ourselves. And when we search from fear, we create more of what we're afraid of. The more desperately we search, the more elusive our answers seem to become. There's also what happens in our energy when we're in this desperate searching mode. Think about how you feel when you're frantically looking for something you've lost. Your heart races, your mind becomes scattered, your whole being becomes tense and urgent. You're not in a state where you can easily see or receive what you're looking for, even if it's right in front of you. The same thing happens when we're desperately searching for solutions to our life challenges. Our energy becomes scattered and urgent. We're not in a calm, receptive state where we can easily recognize the guidance and support that's always available to us. We're too busy looking, too busy trying, too busy forcing to notice the gentle nudges and synchronicities that are trying to show us the way. And here's something else that happens with this kind of searching. We start to distrust our own inner wisdom. We start to believe that everyone else has answers that we don't have. We start to think that we need someone or something outside of us to tell us what to do, how to live, what to choose. We give our power away to external sources and then wonder why we never feel truly satisfied with what we find. But the most exhausting part of this searching is that it never ends. There's always another book to read, another teacher to follow, another method to try. We become addicted to the search itself, even when it's no longer serving us. We start to believe that if we could just find the right combination of techniques, the right teacher, the right system, then finally we would have what we need. This is when the searching becomes a substitute for actually living. Instead of being present to our lives as they are, instead of finding ways to love and appreciate what's already here, we are always focused on what we don't have and what we need to find to be happy. Let me ask you this. When was the last time you felt truly satisfied with what you already have in your life? When was the last time you felt grateful for how far you've already come, instead of focusing on how far you still have to go? When was the last time you trusted that you already know what you need to know in this moment? These questions aren't meant to make you feel bad. They're meant to help you see how the constant searching might have pulled you away from the richness and wisdom that's already present in your life right now. There's a beautiful intelligence that flows through all of life, dear one. Some call it God, some call it universe, some call it source or divine love. Whatever name feels right to you, this intelligence is real and it's intimately connected to you. Not separate from you, not far away from you, but flowing through you and as you in every moment. This divine intelligence isn't something you need to search for because it's not lost. It's not hiding from you, and it's not testing you to see if you're worthy enough to find it. It's right here, right now, closer to you than your own breath. It's the very life force that's beating your heart and growing your hair and healing your cuts without you having to think about it. When I speak of letting God do the providing, I'm speaking of learning to align yourself with this intelligence that already knows what you need and wants to give it to you. This intelligence sees the bigger picture of your life in a way that your human mind cannot. It knows the perfect timing for things to unfold. It knows the most loving and efficient ways to bring you what you need for your highest good. Think about nature for a moment. Does the rosebush search frantically for what it needs to grow? Does it read books about how to bloom more beautifully? Does it worry that it won't get enough sun or water? Number the rosebush simply opens itself to receive what's naturally provided. It trusts the intelligence of life to supply what it needs when it needs it. The sun shines on it without the rosebush having to earn that sunshine. The rain falls on it without the rosebush having to prove it's worthy of water. The nutrients in the soil are available to it simply because it exists. The rosebush doesn't have to search for these things. It simply has to be open to receive them. This is how the divine wants to provide for you, not because you've searched hard enough or found the right method or proven yourself worthy, but simply because you exist, simply because you are a beloved expression of this divine intelligence, and it wants to support and nourish you just as naturally as the sun shines and the rain falls. But here's what makes us different from the rosebush. We have minds that can think ourselves out of this natural receiving. We have thoughts that tell us we're separate from this divine providing, that we have to earn it, that it might not be available to us, that we have to figure out how to make it happen. The divine provider within you isn't separate from you. It's not sitting somewhere in the sky deciding whether or not you deserve what you need. It's the very essence of who you are. When you align with this essence, when you remember that you are an expression of divine love and intelligence, you naturally become a magnet for everything you need. This divine provider knows things your human mind doesn't know. It can see opportunities you can't see. It can arrange circumstances in ways you never could have planned. It can bring people into your life at exactly the right moment. It can open doors you didn't even know existed. But it can only do this when you're in a state of openness and trust, not when you're in a state of desperate searching and forcing. When you're constantly searching, you're essentially telling this divine intelligence, I don't trust you to provide for me. I think I have to figure this out myself. And the universe, always honoring your beliefs and your free will, steps back and lets you try to do it yourself. But when you relax into trust, when you open yourself to receive, you're saying, I trust that you know what I need and how to provide it. I'm open to receiving your gifts in whatever form they come. This doesn't mean you become passive. It means you become receptive. There's a big difference. When you're receptive, you're still taking action, but your actions are inspired rather than desperate. You're still moving forward, but you're being guided rather than forcing. You're still participating in your life, but you're dancing with the divine rather than fighting against it. The divine provider wants to give you so much more than you've been searching for. It wants to give you not just solutions to your problems, but a whole new way of living. A way of living where you feel supported and guided, where you trust the timing of your life, where you know that everything you need will be provided at exactly the right moment. This brings us to one of the most challenging yet liberating aspects of allowing divine provision, learning to release our need to control how, when, and where our good comes to us. Oh, how tightly we hold on to our ideas about how things should happen. We have such specific pictures in our minds about what our solutions should look like, don't we? When we're facing a financial challenge, we think we know exactly how much money we need and exactly when we need it. When we're lonely, we have a clear picture of what kind of relationship would make us happy. When we're struggling with our health, we know exactly what kind of healing we want and how quickly we want it to happen. And then we spend all our energy trying to force life to match our pictures. But here's what I've learned through my own journey and through working with thousands of people over the years. Our human minds are wonderful servants, but they make terrible masters. When we let our minds be in charge of how the divine should provide for us, we actually limit the infinite ways that our good can come to us. Your mind can only imagine solutions based on what it already knows, what it has already experienced or heard about. But the divine intelligence that wants to provide for you has access to possibilities that your mind has never even considered. It can bring your good to you through doors you didn't know existed, through people you haven't met yet, through opportunities that haven't even been created yet. When you insist that your good must come to you in a specific way, you're like someone standing in front of a door that's locked, pushing and pushing on that door, while all around you there are windows opening, other doors appearing, pathways being created, but you can't see them because you're so focused on the one door you've decided should open. I learned this lesson in my own life when I was desperately trying to heal from cancer many years ago. I had such specific ideas about how my healing should happen. I thought I needed to find the right doctor, the right treatment, the right diet, the right supplements. I was searching frantically for the magical combination that would cure me. But my real healing began when I finally exhausted myself from all that searching and surrendered to a different way. I began to trust that my body knew how to heal itself when I created the right conditions, and that the universe would guide me to whatever support I needed. I stopped trying to control every detail of my healing process and started paying attention to the gentle guidance that was always there. That's when the real miracles began to happen. Opportunities for healing came to me in ways I never could have planned or forced. The right people appeared at the right times. Information came to me through unexpected sources. My body began to respond in ways that surprised even me. But none of this could happen while I was tightly gripping my ideas about how my healing had to look. Control is really about fear, isn't it? We try to control because we're afraid that if we don't manage every detail ourselves, things won't work out the way we want them to. We're afraid that the universe doesn't understand what we need, or that it won't provide it quickly enough, or that it might give us something we don't want. But what if the opposite is true? What if the divine intelligence that wants to provide for you understands your needs better than you do? What if it can see solutions that would delight you beyond anything you could have imagined for yourself? What if its timing is actually perfect, even when it doesn't match your timeline? Learning to release control doesn't mean becoming careless or irresponsible. You still take care of your practical affairs. You still take inspired action when you feel guided to do so. But you hold these actions lightly. You do what feels right to do, and then you trust the outcome to the wisdom that knows so much more than your individual mind knows. There's such relief in this release, dear one. When you stop trying to control every outcome, when you stop trying to force every door, you free up enormous amounts of energy. Energy that was tied up in worry and struggle becomes available for joy and creativity and love. You start to feel lighter because you're no longer carrying the weight of making everything work out by yourself. Sometimes people worry that if they stop controlling, they'll become passive or lazy, that nothing good will happen in their lives. But what actually happens is the opposite. When you release the exhausting effort of trying to control outcomes, you become more sensitive to the subtle guidance that's always flowing to you. You become more aware of the opportunities and synchronicities that are constantly appearing. You start to notice the phone call that comes at just the right moment, the book that falls off the shelf with exactly the information you need, the person who mentions exactly the resource you've been looking for. These things were always happening, but when you were busy forcing and controlling, you were too distracted to notice them. Releasing control is a practice, not a one-time event. Every day, multiple times a day, you'll find yourself grabbing for control again. That's perfectly normal and human. The practice is simply noticing when you're doing it and gently releasing your grip again. It's like learning to relax your physical muscles. At first, you might not even notice how tense you are, but gradually you become more aware and better at consciously relaxing. This is where the power of affirmations becomes so important in transforming how we relate to our lives and our challenges. Affirmations aren't just pretty words we say to make ourselves feel better. They're tools for reprogramming the deep beliefs that drive our behavior and create our experiences. When you've been living from control and fear for a long time, your mind has well-worn pathways of thinking that automatically go to worry, doubt, and the need to manage everything yourself. Affirmations help you create new pathways, new automatic responses that support trust and receptivity instead of fear and control. But here's what's important to understand about affirmations. They work best when you use them as bridges to help you feel your way into new ways of being, not just as words you repeat without feeling anything. The real power is in the shift that happens inside you when you speak or think an affirmation that resonates with truth. Let me share with you some affirmations that can help you develop this beautiful relationship with divine provision. As I offer them to you, notice which ones create a sense of relief or opening in your body. Notice which ones make you want to take a deeper breath or relax your shoulders. These physical responses tell you that the affirmation is creating a positive shift in your energy. I trust the divine timing of my life. Feel this one for a moment. What would it be like to really trust that everything in your life is unfolding in perfect timing? How would that change how you feel about the things that haven't happened yet, or the things that seem to be taking longer than you want them to? I am open to receiving my good in unexpected ways. This affirmation helps you release your attachment to how your good should come to you. It opens your awareness to possibilities you haven't considered and helps you stay receptive to surprises. The universe is always conspiring to help me. This is one of my favorites because it completely shifts how you interpret the events in your life. Instead of seeing challenges as evidence that life is working against you, you begin to look for how even difficult experiences might be guiding you towards something better. I release the need to figure everything out myself. Can you feel the relief in this statement? What would it be like to know that you don't have to have all the answers, that you don't have to solve every problem with your mind alone? Divine intelligence guides my steps and provides for my needs. This affirmation helps you remember that you're not walking through life alone, that there's a loving intelligence that wants to guide and support you. The key to using these affirmations effectively is to work with them when you're feeling relatively calm and open, not when you're in the middle of a panic or crisis. Use them as part of your morning routine, or repeat them while you're walking, or write them in your journal. Let them slowly sink into your consciousness and change how you automatically think about your life and your challenges. You can also create your own affirmations based on your specific situations. If you're worried about money, you might say, "Divine abundance flows to me in perfect ways." If you're concerned about a relationship, you might affirm, "Love guides all my relationships toward healing and harmony." The words matter less than the feeling of trust and openness you cultivate as you speak them. Now, as these new thoughts and beliefs begin to take root in your consciousness, something beautiful starts to happen. You begin to shift from a seeking energy to a receiving energy, and this shift changes everything about how you experience life. Seeking energy is active, urgent, grasping. When you're in seeking mode, you're focused on what you don't have, what's missing, what's wrong. Your attention is scattered as you look in many directions for what you need. You feel like you're chasing after your good, trying to capture it before it gets away. Receiving energy is calm, open, magnetic. When you're in receiving mode, you're focused on what's already present, what's already working, what's already beautiful in your life. Your attention is centered and peaceful. You feel like your good is naturally drawn to you, like you're a magnet for everything you need. This shift from seeking to receiving isn't just about changing your attitude. It's about changing your actual energetic frequency. When you're desperately seeking, you're vibrating at the frequency of lack and need. And the law of attraction, which is always operating whether we're conscious of it or not, brings you more experiences that match that frequency of lack and need. But when you shift into receiving mode, when you cultivate gratitude for what you already have and trust that more good is coming to you, you begin to vibrate at the frequency of abundance and fulfillment. And the law of attraction responds by bringing you more experiences that match that higher frequency. Think about people you know who seem to effortlessly attract good things into their lives. They're not necessarily the ones who are searching the hardest, or working the most hours, or trying the most techniques. They're usually the ones who have a calm confidence about them, who seem to trust that things will work out, who appreciate what they have while remaining open to more. These people have learned, consciously or unconsciously, how to be in receiving mode. They've learned how to be grateful for what is while staying open to what's coming. They've learned how to take inspired action without attachment to specific outcomes. They've learned how to dance with life instead of fighting against it. Becoming a receiver instead of a seeker starts with shifting your focus from what's missing to what's present. This doesn't mean pretending that everything in your life is perfect or denying real challenges that need attention. It means training yourself to notice and appreciate the good that's already flowing in your life, even in small ways. When you wake up in the morning, instead of immediately thinking about all the problems you need to solve or all the things you need to find or figure out, you might take a moment to appreciate that you woke up, that you have another day, that your body carried you through the night and is ready to carry you through another day. As you go through your day, you might notice the moments when you feel supported, even in tiny ways. The friend who calls just when you need to talk to someone, the parking space that opens up right when you need it, the solution that comes to you while you're taking a shower, the unexpected money that shows up in some form. These aren't coincidences. They're evidence of the divine provision that's always flowing in your life. When you start to notice and acknowledge these small evidences of support, you strengthen your ability to receive larger gifts as well. You're training your consciousness to recognize and appreciate the ways that life is already providing for you, which makes you more sensitive to even greater provision. Receiving mode also means becoming comfortable with not knowing how things will work out. When you're in seeking mode, you feel like you need to figure out the how before you can relax. You need to see the path before you can trust it's there. But when you're in receiving mode, you can be at peace with mystery. You can trust that the path will appear as you walk it, that the how will be revealed as you need it. This comfort with not knowing comes from developing a relationship with the divine intelligence that's orchestrating your life. As you experience more and more evidence of this intelligence working on your behalf, you begin to trust it even when you can't see exactly how it's going to provide what you need. The beautiful thing about shifting into receiving mode is that it makes you more attractive to the very things you've been seeking. When you're calm and grateful and trusting, people want to help you. Opportunities seem to appear more easily. Solutions come to you with less effort. It's as if the universe responds to your peaceful confidence by saying, "Yes, this person is ready to receive. Let's see what gifts we can bring to them." Learning to recognize the signs of divine provision is like developing a new kind of vision. At first, you might miss many of the ways that the universe is working on your behalf because you're looking for big, dramatic signs, while the divine often works through gentle nudges, quiet synchronicities, and seemingly ordinary moments that carry extraordinary meaning. When you begin to pay attention, you'll start to notice that the universe has its own beautiful language for communicating with you. It speaks through timing, through repeated themes that show up in your life, through unexpected encounters, and through the way doors close and open in your experience. One of the most common ways divine provision shows up is through what we call synchronicities. These are meaningful coincidences that seem too perfect to be random chance. You think of someone you haven't spoken to in years, and they call you that same day. You need specific information, and you overhear exactly what you need in a conversation behind you in line at the store. You're struggling with a decision, and you keep seeing the same message on billboards, in books, in conversations, until you can't help but pay attention. These synchronicities aren't the universe showing off or playing games with you. They're gentle confirmations that you're connected to a loving intelligence that's aware of your needs and is constantly arranging circumstances to support you. When you start to notice and appreciate these synchronicities, you'll find that they happen more and more frequently. Another sign of divine provision is what I call perfect timing. You apply for a job and don't get it, and you're disappointed until a few weeks later when an even better opportunity comes along that you wouldn't have been available for if you'd gotten the first job. You miss a flight and feel frustrated until you meet someone in the airport who becomes an important connection in your life. You're forced to take a detour on your usual route and discover a resource you didn't know existed. These experiences teach you to trust that there's a bigger picture to your life that you can't always see from your current vantage point. What looks like a setback or inconvenience often turns out to be a redirection towards something better. The universe also provides through people who show up at exactly the right moment with exactly what you need. Sometimes it's someone who gives you information or makes a connection for you. Sometimes it's someone who offers practical help or emotional support. Sometimes it's even someone who challenges you in a way that helps you grow stronger or clearer about what you really want. These angel people aren't necessarily wearing halos or claiming to be spiritual teachers. They might be the cashier who smiles at you when you're having a difficult day, the neighbor who mentions a resource you need, the stranger who offers to help you carry something heavy. The divine works through ordinary people living ordinary lives, and when you start to recognize this, you begin to see angels everywhere. Financial provision often comes in unexpected ways too. You might receive a refund you forgot about, find money in an old coat pocket, get a discount you weren't expecting, or have someone offer to pay for something as a gift. You might discover a resource that saves you money, or find a way to earn income that you hadn't considered before. The key is to stay open to provision coming in forms you didn't expect. If you're focused only on getting a specific amount of money in a specific way, you might miss the many creative ways the universe wants to provide for your financial needs. Health and healing provision can show up as sudden insights about what your body needs, unexpected improvements in your condition, or meeting the right practitioner at the right time. Sometimes it's as simple as finally feeling motivated to make changes you've been thinking about for a long time, or suddenly knowing with clarity what foods or activities make you feel better or worse. Even emotional and spiritual provision comes through these same channels. You might find exactly the book you need, hear exactly the song that speaks to your heart, or have a conversation that shifts your entire perspective on a situation you've been struggling with. The more you recognize and acknowledge these signs of divine provision, the more sensitive you become to the constant flow of support that's available to you. It's like tuning your radio to a frequency that was always broadcasting, but that you weren't aware of before. To truly embody this new way of living, it helps to create daily practices that reinforce your connection to divine provision and your trust in the process of life. These practices don't need to be complicated or time-consuming, but they do need to be consistent. It's the daily return to trust, the daily choice to align with divine intelligence that gradually transforms how you experience your life. Starting your day with intention and gratitude sets the tone for receiving. Before you get out of bed, before you check your phone or start thinking about your to-do list, take a few moments to connect with the divine presence within you. This might be through prayer, through setting an intention, or simply through taking a few conscious breaths while appreciating that you've been given another day. You might say something like, "Thank you for this new day. I'm open to receiving all the good you have for me today. Guide my steps and show me how I can be of service." These simple words help you start your day from a place of receptivity rather than anxiety about everything you need to accomplish. Throughout the day, practice what I call spiritual check-ins. Every few hours, pause for just a moment to notice how you're feeling and to reconnect with your intention to trust and receive. If you notice that you've slipped back into controlling or forcing mode, gently remind yourself that you don't have to figure everything out alone. You might take 3 conscious breaths and say to yourself, "I trust the process of my life. I'm open to guidance and support." This simple practice helps you stay aligned with receiving energy instead of getting caught up in the urgency and stress that can so easily take over our days. Evening practices are equally important for releasing the day's concerns and reinforcing your trust in divine provision. Before you go to sleep, take some time to review your day, not for what went wrong or what you didn't accomplish, but for the ways you were supported and guided. Maybe you had a conversation that gave you a new perspective. Maybe you found a parking space right when you needed it. Maybe you felt inspired to call someone who really needed to hear from you. Maybe you simply felt peaceful for a few moments while watching the sunset. These are all evidence of divine provision working in your life. As you notice these gifts from your day, say thank you for each one. This practice of gratitude before sleep helps you drift off feeling supported and loved rather than worried about tomorrow's challenges. Journaling can be a powerful tool for tracking divine provision in your life. You might keep a simple notebook where you write down the synchronicities, the unexpected support, the perfect timing you notice each day. Over time, you'll begin to see patterns and realize just how much you're being cared for in ways you might have overlooked before. Meditation and prayer, in whatever form feels authentic to you, help you develop the quiet, receptive state of mind that's most conducive to receiving guidance and recognizing provision. Even 5 or 10 minutes a day of sitting quietly and connecting with the divine intelligence within you can make a significant difference in how supported and guided you feel. When you meditate or pray, you're not trying to get anything or make anything happen. You're simply spending time in the presence of love, allowing yourself to be filled up and nourished at the deepest level. This spiritual nourishment naturally overflows into all areas of your life. The practice of surrendering your concerns is also essential. At the end of each day, or whenever you notice yourself worrying about something, practice consciously giving your concerns to the divine. You might visualize placing your worries in a beautiful box and handing it over to God, or imagine releasing them like balloons into the sky. This doesn't mean you become irresponsible about practical matters. It means you do what you can do with a clear mind and an open heart, and then you trust the outcome to wisdom greater than your own. As these practices become part of your daily rhythm, you'll find that faith becomes your natural response to life's challenges rather than fear. This shift from fear-based thinking to faith-based thinking is perhaps the most profound transformation you can make in your life. Fear-based thinking looks at challenges and sees problems, obstacles, reasons why things won't work out. Faith-based thinking looks at the same challenges and sees opportunities for growth, for learning, for experiencing even greater good than you could imagine. When you're operating from fear, your decisions come from a place of scarcity and limitation. You make choices based on trying to avoid what you don't want rather than moving toward what you do want. You hold back from taking risks or trying new things because you're afraid of failure or loss. But when you're operating from faith, your decisions come from a place of abundance and possibility. You make choices based on what feels aligned with your highest good and the good of all concerned. You're willing to take inspired risks because you trust that you're being guided and supported. This doesn't mean you become reckless or naive. Faith-based living actually makes you more wise and discerning because you're making decisions from a calm, centered place rather than from anxiety and fear. You're more able to sense what's truly right for you because you're not clouded by emotional reactivity. Living in faith means choosing to believe that life is on your side, even when external circumstances seem to suggest otherwise. It means trusting that there's meaning and purpose in everything you experience, even the difficult things. It means knowing that you have the strength and wisdom to handle whatever comes your way because you're not handling it alone. When setbacks happen, as they inevitably do in every life, faith helps you see them as temporary detours rather than permanent roadblocks. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" you ask, "How is this serving my highest good?" Or, "What is this teaching me?" Or, "How might this be redirecting me towards something even better?" This shift in how you interpret your experiences changes everything about how you feel as you move through life. Instead of feeling like a victim of circumstances, you feel like a beloved child of the universe who is being lovingly guided through experiences that are helping you grow and evolve. Faith also helps you stay patient with divine timing. When you're operating from fear, you want everything to happen immediately because you're afraid it might never happen at all. But when you're operating from faith, you can be patient because you trust that everything comes in perfect timing for your highest good. This patience isn't passive waiting, it's active trust. You continue to take inspired action. You continue to prepare yourself for the good you're calling into your life, but you hold the timeline lightly. You trust that there's wisdom in the timing of how things unfold, even when it doesn't match your personal preferences. The ripple effects of living in faith rather than fear extend far beyond your personal experience. When you're calm and trusting, you become a source of peace and stability for others. When you're operating from abundance consciousness, you naturally become more generous and helpful. When you're confident in divine provision, you're more willing to share your resources and talents because you know there's always more where that came from. Your faith becomes a gift to everyone whose life touches yours. People are drawn to the peace and confidence that comes from knowing you're supported and guided. Your example gives others permission to relax their own controlling and to trust the process of their own lives. And so, my dear friend, we come to the end of our time together today, but this is really just the beginning of a whole new way of living for you. You've learned that the searching and striving that has exhausted you isn't the only way to create positive change in your life. You've discovered that there's a loving intelligence that wants to provide for you in ways that are more beautiful and perfect than anything you could force or figure out with your mind alone. You've learned that releasing control isn't about becoming passive, but about becoming receptive to the infinite ways your good can come to you. You've discovered affirmations that can help you retrain your mind to expect good rather than struggle. You've explored what it means to shift from seeking energy to receiving energy, and how that shift makes you magnetic to the very things you've been longing for. You've learned to recognize the signs that divine provision is always flowing in your life, even when it doesn't look like what you expected. You've been given practical daily practices that can help you maintain your connection to this source of guidance and support. And most importantly, you've been reminded that faith is always available to you as an alternative to fear. This journey from searching to receiving, from controlling to trusting, from fear to faith isn't always easy, and it isn't usually quick. Be patient and gentle with yourself as you practice these new ways of being. Remember that every time you catch yourself trying to force something and consciously choose to relax instead, you're building your faith muscle. Every time you notice a synchronicity and say thank you, you're strengthening your ability to receive. There will be days when you forget everything we've talked about and slip back into old patterns of desperate searching and fearful controlling. That's perfectly human and normal. The practice isn't about being perfect. The practice is about returning again and again to trust and openness and love. Your willingness to stop the exhausting search and allow the divine to provide is an act of great courage and wisdom. It takes strength to let go of the illusion that you have to do everything yourself. It takes faith to trust that you're loved and supported even when you can't see the evidence yet. But I want you to know this with every fiber of your being. You are so deeply loved by the force that creates and sustains all life. You are not an accident or an afterthought. You are a precious, unique expression of divine love, and your well-being matters to the universe. The same intelligence that grows the flowers and moves the planets and beats your heart without your having to think about it is intimately concerned with your happiness and your highest good. This intelligence has solutions to your challenges that are more creative and wonderful than anything you could imagine. It has gifts for you that you haven't even thought to ask for yet. Your job is simply to stay open, to keep choosing trust over fear, to keep saying yes to love. As you do this, day by day, moment by moment, you'll find that life becomes easier and more joyful than you thought possible. You'll discover that you're held and supported in ways you never knew existed. And so I leave you with this final affirmation, one that you can carry with you always. I release the need to search frantically for my good. I trust that divine love is providing for me right now in perfect ways. I am open to receiving all the gifts that life has for me. I am grateful for this moment, and I am excited about what's coming next. May you know, deep in your heart, that you are loved beyond measure and supported beyond your wildest dreams. May you rest in the peace that comes from knowing you never have to figure it all out by yourself. And may you experience the joy that flows naturally when you stop searching and start receiving. With all my love and blessings, I thank you for joining me on this journey today. Trust the process, dear one. Your good is coming to you right now.